But this is my topic for the day. I want to talk to you about some experiments that I've been doing. What the introduction didn't cover is I am not a HR professional. I am an outsider to this gang. I am a practitioner of some HR principles that I would like to share with you. I want to start by thanking Nivedita. But for this lady, I wouldn't be here today because just 48 hours ago, I was in Mexico at a business conference. 24 hours ago, I was in London, and she arranged the flights, the hotel, and the preparations here to make this happen. I want to thank her. I'll come back to her later. The workplace has changed. It's all about the future of work here. And what used to look like this is actually looking like this today. This is the seat of innovation, the new seat. You can't find out who the CEO is. You can't tell whether they are having coffee or whether there is a serious business acquisition discussion happening there. Much of learning, relevant learning, actually happens at work. Almost everything that I am doing at work, I didn't learn at college. I actually learned at work. All of you, I am sure you'll agree. So it's more and more experiential rather than formal education followed up with some formal work. And the desk is everywhere now. You can work from wherever you are. In fact, between flights, I was working on my presentation and I was delivering it here. So it's almost as if you got the keys for success, everything was planned and you got the keys and somebody changed the locks. Right? That's the feeling we always get when this future of work threatens us like some tsunami. Have your skills adopted? Have your thought processes changed? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Because like our previous speaker said, when the only tool you have in your hand is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, even a screw. Right? So that's an important message. So do not try to force fit any existing policy on these post-millennials. Just won't work. And when you talk about tools, it's not as if you are a personality and some tool that you have in your hand is actually getting your work done. The tool is also playing a secondary role. It is morphing, it is sculpting your way of thought, your opinions, your principles, your approaches to everything. Marshall McLuhan. So, many definitions. One thing I really liked, I came across it recently. What is HR? And this professional defines it as we are the thumb. And there is sales and marketing, there is production, there is development, there is technology, there is research and all that. But the thumb is the only finger that can touch every one of these fingers. Nice, beautiful Indian definition, I thought. HR is such a pervading a team and principle that you need to learn to make your thoughts pervade the organization. So do you want to be just an implementer, a service provider, or do you want to be a strategic partner where your thoughts and your decisions have influence across the length and breadth of the organization? It's about managing three things. How do you manage the experience of the employee who has just come in, who is growing, who is staying with you, who is leaving you? How do you manage the experience? It's about engaging with them on an ongoing basis. And finally, most important, collecting feedback at every step of the way. Because whatever you come up with, they're going to be thinking different, expecting more, and it is important that you get the feedback thing done. The employee feedback loop is pretty simple. You design and collect feedback. You design a policy form, and you analyze and understand what you have received as feedback, and you loop it back in. You share it again, and you act on the collected feedback. Sounds simple, actually, right? This is the organizational hierarchy of Apple. All of us know this. One central Steve Jobs or a Tim Cook today. This is Google, the top three people, Sundar Pichai and Sergey Brin and Larry Page. And this is Facebook, all networked. This is Microsoft, some people say, right? Teams fighting each other. But what is this? I guess this is your company. Right? Things moving all around the place. Not everything is fluid, not really connected, loose pieces. dynamically coming together as teams on a need-only basis. Right? So how do you manage processes in a company like this? How do you work and engage with the post-millennial workforce? 75%, the speaker said. How are you going to work with them? What's the right approach? One approach is this, right? Everybody is a pawn or a chess piece, and you decide to give them life for that move them, and they're dead again. They stay where they are put. You decide everything. You dictate the terms. There is another approach, though, which is my favorite. That's the gardener's approach. You create the environment for them. Give them the right amount of water, right amount of soil, right amount of fertilizer, right amount of sunshine. Get them out of the shade. Give them the sunshine and watch them grow. Don't dictate how many leaves for every flower. Watch them grow. Make them surprise you with the blooms that they come up with. Don't do micromanagement. We have heard of this enough number of times. No smart guy or girl wants to be managed by another smart guy or girl. Right? Abolish middle managers. Don't do micromanagement. We heard about Ardhanarishwara in the morning, where the man and woman combo was put forward as an interesting idea to adopt. Ganesha. There are so many gods you want to pray for and get your work done, but this Ganesha has a special property that other gods don't have. Because Ganesha is not somebody you ask for help to solve a problem, to get something done. You ask for help to remove an obstacle. Vigna Vinayak, they call him. I know how to do my work. Just get this damn thing out of the way. That should be the manager's role. The manager should be an empowerer and should be an obstacle remover. That's the way I would like to see it. And don't pacify, don't oil that squeaky wheel. Right? No mother will say, that's my favorite instrument if my baby starts crying. Bad mothers. Because the baby is crying because of a reason. Probably an ant has bitten it. Probably she's hungry. Probably there is a problem, there is a fever. Pacifying or oiling the squeaky wheel will not solve the problem. Ask 5 whys. Drill down deeper. Find out why that problem is. Until then, let that thing keep crying. Let that thing keep squeaking. And finally, micromessaging. This is my favorite topic, so I have come directly to that, and this is what I'm going to spend the rest of the time on. Do not wait for yearly or performance appraisals to give your team members feedback. Give then and there instant messages, micro messages of all these various emotions. I'll get deeper into this now. We talked about managing 3 things. So there was an experience, there was an engagement, and there was feedback. We received feedback in my team about something that was happening, and we felt that it was giving a bad experience to my teammates. So I said, let's build something that will engage with my teammates on an ongoing basis. How many of you have had this feeling? I am so excited for my performance appraisal today. Yeah? Nobody ever said that in the history of humanity, I guess. There are a few reasons for it. I thought about it, I shared it with my friends and colleagues, and this is what I arrived at as the real reasons why this doesn't seem to happen at all. Why do they fail? First of all, there is a strategy and execution mismatch. The HR head or the CEO comes up with an interesting idea, a grand vision, a democratic approach to the whole thing, and lays it down in paper. But when it's actually filtered down across the hierarchy, when you go down the ladder and finally gets down to the execution points, it's a very poor shadow of what the original vision was. There's a mismatch. There is a top-down disadvantage too, because probably one person can know the in and out of probably 7 people's work, not more than that. Right? There is a Dunbar number, which is 150, but much smaller than that is 7, which is what a typical manager can actually know the in and out of day-to-day work of the people under him or her. So there is a serious top-down disadvantage if you're going to have one person evaluating a huge tree or hierarchy of people under him or her. There is this short-term memory problem. I don't know about you, in many companies, including mine, there is this appraisal season, during which time these kids will spend more time with the managers, they will stay later during the day, they will put night outs, they will plan mails to be sent out at 11 p.m. in the night so that the manager receives that mail and feels, oh my God, my kids are working 11 p.m. at night. Yeah? And what happens is, good or bad, the things that happened in the past couple of weeks loom large in front of you. It's like I have my finger in front of me, and this half an inch finger is able to hide everything out there because it is simply too close to me. So this memory problem, you don't remember the great things that the boy or the girl did 9 months ago. You only remember the screw up last week. That's again dangerous when it comes to appraisals. And it's too monetarily focused. How often have we had this pang of pain when we send an appraisal document along with a salary note, a hike, and all that the kid is interested in is, how much is my salary gone up? And if that number is good, all the critical feedback is ignored. And if that number is bad, no matter how long your pain of praise is, they don't care because the number is not large enough to cover that beautiful two-wheeler they purchased on loan last month. Yeah? So we tried some gamification. We said, let's bring in an interesting, friendly competition mode across our employees who are typically 2,000 or 2,000 plus born. Let's try to bring that in to stimulate participation and engagement. These are stats from Market Inspector. 87% of employees are less likely to leave, 57% are more likely to put efforts, and 147% of better performance simply because if you add gamification properly across the organizational structure. So this is what we did. We chose some 9 aspects of day-to-day work: teamwork, problem solving, innovation, mastery, passion, commitment, managerial skills for non-managers, that is, mentoring, communication skills. These were all typical categories and brackets that you would like to evaluate somebody on. And we created those 9 categories, and we put a system in place using which any employee can thank any other employee simply with an interesting text like that online. So that's the giver, this is the receiver. He wants to, that guy is a designer, this guy is another designer for developing, adapting any new tool. That boy is appreciating this guy. This is the manager who is appreciating a lady working under him for clearing 100 plus bugs in a short period of time. This is a tester thanking a developer for commitment. Very good grip. This is a developer thanking a co-developer for teamwork. This is the designer thanking another designer for managerial skills because he got appreciation from an external manager. And in the past 6 years that we have been running this, 51,856 times teammates from across my team have thanked other teammates in their team, and that's the split up. Commitment has been high, communication skills still gathering speed, mentoring 261, and so on. We even instituted a nice rolling trophy. Every month we got together, we had a senior manager come and gift this employee of the month, the person who has been thanked the most. Remember, this is not about performing. This is about thanking somebody for something that that person did that impacted this person's work. I was stuck, you helped me, I would like to thank you. That is how this was driven. So I want to quickly go through 8 things why I think this works. It's easy to use. It's a simple, beautiful form. Who am I? Who do I want to thank? What do I want to thank them for? It's a mobile app, as simple as that. It's voluntary. It's not necessary that every person in this team has to play that. There are some of us who, for example, think, oh, I'm getting paid, I have a salary. Why should I get this additional gamey thing? I don't want. Fine. All we need is a majority of the people to adapt it. It's not appraisal related. Tying this into an appraisal system will be the death toll for this. It is not appraisal related. This is something separate. It's like a funny little, easy, on-the-spot micro message that I receive without waiting for the annual appraisal. Public cheers, because we have the whole team seeing A thanking B. The whole team can watch what's happening. They also add in, yes, I have also seen this person do this to me. This deserves more praise. Take 5 more points, and so on. And we also added a private criticism layer, because there are times when you need to criticize a particular team member for screwing up something. And instead of waiting for that annual appraisal or forgetting about it because it was too small, when seen through the long-term memory loss problem, you have a private sitting with that person. That's what you do, typically. So on a virtual environment, you have a private messaging system where it is automatically documented and recorded. When the time comes for appraisal, you can actually look at this, and this is your memory logbook. It's also integrated with most social tools, so you can quickly watch it on Slack or a Workplace or Click. Remember that team structure that I told you about. It is decentralized. It's not manager-driven. It doesn't wait for a manager to dictate who's going to get what. Every team member has the same power. It doesn't differentiate between where in the hierarchy it's going to come from. And it is omnidirectional. A team head can give downwards. A peer can give horizontally. And a team member can also give upwards. And when talking about upwards, we said you should not get into the mode of being a chamcha or a person who is buttering up their manager. So all upward movements were treated as private. Only the manager gets to know about it. Nobody else comes to know that that team member has been appreciating something that the manager did. We also brought in a smart algorithm, which is the 9th reason. Because we noticed over time that there were some people who were getting a lot of these credit. And there were others who were doing good work, but weren't getting any credit at all. Simply because those people, let me tell you what's the difference between these two animals first. This is the groundhog, and it has a number 5 under it. And that's a hummingbird, red-breasted hummingbird. It's got the number 1260 under it. Any idea what those numbers are? They are the heartbeats of these animals. This is the hibernating groundhog, 5 times a minute. 1,260 times a minute is that bird's heartbeat. So what we did, we realized that there were some people whose job was helping others. So it's no longer considered help. So we said, your heartbeat is already high. You're getting 50 every week anyway. Unless you get 55, we are not going to give you any credit anymore. It's like you have a faster run rate. This person has a slower run rate. And if this person wakes up and gets just one more, we're going to appreciate you. So we built that smart algorithm too into it. Quickly, why it's not for everybody is this system can be gamed too, of course. So you'll have to be careful. There has to be some manual intervention to observe that one person is not saying, hey, I'll give you some, you give me some more, we scratch each other's back. Yes. There are some naysayers even now. It needs majority adoption to be meaningful. So in my team, there are 150 members who all adopted it. But there are a couple of people who are probably too old for it, who see this as a game. I'm perfectly all right about it because there is majority adoption. It needs an open culture of frankness. You can't be competing with each other in your team. You can't be having a marketing team, having different goals set for each of them, and they stepping on each other's toes and competing. Then this won't work. You need to have a collaborative environment. You need to nurture that openness in your culture. And it works best when the day-to-day work involves a lot of collaboration. If it's a document you're creating, it's not as if you create the document and publish it. There has to be a designer involved. There has to be a reviewer or an editor involved. There has to be a marketer who has to decide when to time this blog post. That becomes a team, and that's when this really works. So we know enough about this carrot and stick, and I think it is Daniel Pink who wrote the book Drive, where he talks about 3 important things that go far beyond just monetary engagement. So he says, don't think you can keep your millennials in place just by giving them more salary. What they need is a sense of autonomy. They need to feel that they are doing the job that they have been given because they love it, and they chose to do it. And beyond that, you need to give them a sense of mastery. That is, something that they have chosen to do. Every day, they're getting better at it, and there is an asymptotic growth towards mastery, perfection. That needs to be there. And finally, there has to be a sense of purpose. I am probably just turning a small wheel in a huge machine, but am I playing an important role? Will I be missed when I am gone? Will I be noticed if I am not doing that work? What responsibility do I have? Can I leave a legacy behind? That sense of purpose is what you need to bake into the system. So finally, I said, I was thanking Nivedita. This is how I would thank her. I want to appreciate the extra effort you put in to ensure I arrived here on time, made it to the event in spite of a 30-hour flight from Mexico. Thanks a lot. So if you are the giver, and who is the receiver, and what would that content be? Thanks a lot.